On today's episode of Locked On 76ers, a thriller in South Philadelphia with the Sixers coming up with the 1-point victory, 116-115, evening up this best-of-7 series. It's now a 3-game series as the series shifts back to Boston for game number 5 on Tuesday. An exciting one, a lot to talk about. We'll dive into it all right here, Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's talk to you about PrizePicks. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. That's prizepicks.com, promo code LOCKEDON. What's good, D?
Much different feeling from Saturday to this one, Keith. So that's what's good. Saturday morning, as we recorded that podcast, much different. And a much different result, of course, for the 76ers. Welcome, everybody. You are Locked On 76ers. I'm Devon Gibbons from 97.5 The Fanatic Radio in Philadelphia, alongside my co-host from theinquirer.com, Sixers beat writer Keith Pompey. We thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On 76ers is free and available on all platforms, including right here on YouTube at Locked On 76ers. Well, Keith, a last-second opportunity for one, Marcus Smart in overtime after having an opportunity at the end of regulation to win the game for the Boston Celtics, just 0.2 of a second off of his fingertips, and it did not count as the ball went through the rim and the net. It was acknowledged as a three. The officials went back and looked at it, and they did not allow that one to count. We'll get to that to start things off. James Harden, another spectacular performance, his second 40-point game in the series. Why that's big. And are the Sixers going to have to win with their two superstars, or super MVP and a star all-star level player, James Harden, was scoring close to 80 points in every game for them to win. But Keith, let's just take the people through everything that they saw, everything that we witnessed live inside the arena as Marcus Smart for the regulation point, and then Marcus Smart at the end of overtime with an opportunity to take a shot, man. Well, just a lot of range of emotions, I'm sure, for so many people, as we heard in the building, the people around us, as this thing finished up with the Sixers a 1-point win.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big win. I mean, it was the Marcus Smart shot was kind of crazy. I mean, because I'm like, whoa, that was a nice shot.
Did you think it counted?
Huh?
Did you think he got it off in time?
Nah, I mean, you could tell, like,
Yeah,
when
I
you
agree.
saw it. I mean,
especially from where we sit, and you can see the other end of the floor. So you can look at the player and the shot simultaneously while you're looking at the other end of the floor to see if the light goes off.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, I mean, that, like, my man took too long to pass the ball to him. But, for the Sixers, that was a good thing. I mean, but the thing is, like, I think the story was it was James. Like, James was just balling, right? And he was doing a lot of things. I mean, he was aggressive. To me, like I wrote in yesterday's paper, I mean, I said the Sixers need to man up. Like I said, they need to stop being scared. They need to go in the lane. They need to shoot the ball. They got to do all that. And they came out today and they showed me something, and the thing is, like, when we talk about the 76ers, you talk about a team that's been resilient all year, but for whatever reason, they just kind of look kind of like soft, man, like in game 3. And then they came back and they were a different team. It was kind of sort of like, they manned up. Like, it was one of those things where they probably heard the whispers, or more so than whispers, saw the memes on social media, read what people were saying about them, saw what they were saying about them on TV, and they came back and they had a phenomenal game. I mean, you look at it from the gate. Another thing, Dito, like Doc reduced his bench and he played his guys and stuff like that. So I felt like it was a lot of good moves that were being made, but also you got to talk about the intensity that Harden played with. You got to talk about Maxey, how he came out. Joel Embiid, you can't tell that, he has a sprained knee, right? He's playing like, I mean, if you don't see the breaks, you think he's just a regular guy. So I look at that and I say to myself that, this was their best postseason performance with all of them together. But also, it was like they showed me some grit and they showed me something.
Yeah, coming out right away, Keith, and they held the Boston Celtics just 19 points in that first quarter. So their defense right out of the gate, you look at them, you're like, okay, these guys are ready to go. Whatever conversation they had on the off day where they had the film video session, pardon me, where they said Tyrese Maxey, like, reading some of the quotes there, since I wasn't able to be there on Saturday at the post practice availability. Just seeing some of the things that were out there about Maxey talking about, we had, grown man conversation. They had to sit there and everybody had to be held accountable. So whatever was said, you could see the energy was different. The fact that the aggression was different, not only offensively, but defensively, where you saw Tyrese Maxey digging in and getting in there, or James Harden looked like he was ready to play however many minutes he could as a defender, where he really locked in on his assignment in that first quarter. And you saw it, block shots by both of them, steals, just timely things that they did on the defensive end to help Embiid and Tucker to hold the rest of the team, the Boston Celtics, to that 19 points. So you could see that right from the start of where it went. But Keith, as we talk about it, and we'll get to James Harden in the next one, playoff basketball, there are always runs. Teams are going to make these runs. And while the Sixers were up by as much as 16, I think they had it to 15 in the fourth quarter or 14 in the fourth quarter. And was it 4? No,
It
it
was
was
16.
actually
It was 16 in the third quarter.
Yeah,
16
into
in
the
the
third.
third.
And then Boston just started to chip away. They got it to 9 going into the fourth quarter. The Sixers, though, did let up. Now, this is playoff basketball, so this does happen, but it's something that we can't ignore as we talk about, the thrilling victory, how exciting things were in the building.
Yeah, they got to shore that up, man. Because it got to a point where, I know they were able to overcome it, but it got to a point where the ball stopped moving. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I know they were fatigued and this and that. And that's something maybe that Doc Rivers is going to have to, like his substitution patterns. Even though you're going 8, you might switch it up a little bit. Like a guy like, Paul Reed didn't play bad. He had
Didn't have enough time to play bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He had 3 rebounds. He was 1 for 2. He had 2 points, and he only played 6 minutes and 16 seconds. So it's one of those things. I get it with the Embiid thing, but it got to a point where Embiid was gassed. James was gassed. DeAnthony Melton played 24 minutes, 57 seconds. George Niang played 18:55. So yeah, they got to get it together. Now, here's again, it's not like you can say we're going to run them hard at practice. We're going to do this. Nah, they're playing in a couple days, but they're playing tomorrow actually. But it's one of those things where that's just something that they got to shore up. They got to shore up.
Even if it's something like, look, Jalen McDaniels was not in the rotation last night. So if that's the case, maybe there is a moment for him to get back in there, to your point of kind of, preserving some of the minutes there, because these guys are logging some real playoff minutes. And quite frankly, they're going to have to possibly do that. And we'll get into it again of how they need to approach things in the final segment in terms of their 2 stars. But maybe he is going to have to go back a little bit. This was a must-win game for them yesterday. So that's why Doc Rivers went the direction he did. But those guys, you could see, as you pointed out, the fatigue may have played a part in it.
True. The only scary part is you played 9 dudes and you lost, right? So playing 8, they won. They played 8 twice and they won, right?
Game 1 and game 4.
Yep. So you know what I mean? That's the scary part about it. That's the scary part.
Extended minutes, I get. Well, Paul Reed started, so okay, that's fair.
They played, extended. Paul Reed started, but they played 8. Now Jalen got it. The only thing is this, so that's the only scary part if you like superstitious. But it is.
No, and I understand that. And just to your point though, being up even 9 Keith, in the fourth quarter, even 9, you got the ball and you come out and your first possession is awful. You know what I'm saying? Embiid was sitting down. And the way Harden was playing also with Embiid off the floor, how aggressive he was, you're looking at it saying, okay, he's going to look for his and he's going to start to cook maybe. And with it, just 2 bad possessions right away to start. And what did they have? 3 personal fouls in the first couple of minutes.
Yeah.
The fatigue set in. You could see it not only physically, Keith, but sometimes when you don't have it physically because you're tired, then the mental part starts to come into play too, because that's when you're trying to overcompensate for the lack of what you can do with your athleticism and since you're tired now you're resorting to some things where you're mentally thinking about certain things a little too much, and that can go away from you and get away from you and go in the favor of your opponent. So that's something that they have to address coming up here with this next game on Tuesday, 7:30 start time. And that will, of course, be back in Boston for game number 5. But big win for the Sixers. Big part of that was another big game from James Harden as he dropped a game best 42 points and hit the second biggest shot of the series, arguably. And he probably hit the top 3 shots so far, Keith. Let's not forget about 107-105 Boston, and he hit that runner over 2 Celtics defenders to tie the game at the end of regulation to force that overtime after Marcus Smart, of course, missed it with now, 1.7 seconds on the clock. Arguably the second biggest shot, if not the biggest shot, James Harden, the game winner from Joel Embiid in the corner to give the Sixers the 116-115 lead. It held. We'll tell you how great his performance was following a dud in game number 3. James Harden was spectacular. We'll break it all down right here next. Locked On 76ers.
Let's talk about PrizePicks, right? You know what I mean? So PrizePicks, I like PrizePicks a lot, even though I'm not quite a quote unquote a gambling guy, but I really do like PrizePicks. I like a lot about it, right? So here we go. Now this is new. So you could get $1 million daily super flex promotion, right? So every day on the NBA playoffs finals, one PrizePicks users will win a chance to become a millionaire, right? One entry placed after 8 a.m. Eastern time will be randomly selected each day. Whoever placed that entry will be given a 6-pick flex with the following payouts. 6 correct picks equals 1 million. 5 correct picks equals 80,000. 4 correct picks equals 16,000. Full details can be found at prizepicks.com/million. You must opt in at the link to be eligible for the $1 million entry. Once you opt in, you'll have to do this to play the game like normal, and you could be the lucky winner, right? So what you do is, right, this is what you got to do. You refer to PrizePicks at daily fantasies / placing entries / player projections, not sports gamblings, parlays and lines. So this is how it goes, right? Now here's the deal. Tonight, I'm going to take Luka Doncic to score more than 26.5 points. LeBron James to have more than 7.5 rebounds. Kevin Durant to have less than 6.5 assists. And Steph Curry to have more than 3.5 3-pointers made, right? So how does it work? You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they will go score more or less than your PrizePicks projections, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. There's no competing against other people. It's just you and the projections available. PrizePicks offer projections on any sport that you watch. This includes NBA, NHL, MLB, NHL, PGA, and on and on and on and on. You don't even want me listing all those things. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals, and is currently operational in 30 states and Canada. How do you do it? You download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter the promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit matchup to $100. Do it today, people. I'm telling you, definitely do it today.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, and every day is tomorrow on the show. Make sure you tune in as we preview game number 5 as it shifts back to Boston for this game 5, even up 2-2 in the best of 7. It's now a 3-game series, 2 potentially in Boston, 1 definitely in game number 6 back here in Philadelphia. What will it be? We don't know as of yet, but game number 5, that's what we'll have for you everydayers and some newcomers right here on Locked On 76ers. Keith, 42 points, a game best for James Harden, 16 for 23, 6 for 9. And he had 4 steals, which was a game high, 9 assists, 2 rebounds. So close to a triple-double once again. Only 1 turnover in 47 minutes and 24 seconds, which was also a game high. This coming off of a very underwhelming performance on Friday in game number 3, where the Sixers lost by 12 points. Man, he did it again. First time since Allen Iverson in his run, his days of playing in the postseason, a 76er has dropped 40 points in the same series, and he's done so within 4 games. He was tremendous, and I was on him big time for his performance on Friday, how poorly I thought he played. His decision-making wasn't there. It seemed as though he lost his confidence. He came right out, and he really told me and anybody else who felt like that he didn't have it, even though, again, the reason why I was on him, because I've seen him play a certain way, and that's not the James Harden way that I've seen. He came back and he bounced back, and man, did they need every bit of the 42 that he dropped, including that game winner after Embiid. James Harden in concentration with Jaylen Brown closing out on him, knocking that shot down from the corner.
Yeah, the thing is, though, both of the games that he played well in is like dudes dissed him. Like the first game that ESPN was clowning him before the game, saying this and that. And, James said he doesn't listen to stuff, but I'm pretty sure he heard it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this last game, it was kind of like
it was me after the game. He was listening to me driving home on.
Yeah, he probably was. I mean, he
That's what he was
probably
doing.
was. He was listening to you. He saw the memes where people were calling him Ben Simmons with a beard. I mean, it was a lot of stuff that he was getting flack. So, he bounces back. Now, the thing is, they're going to devise a game plan the next game and to stop him. He got to come out and do this again. Like James Harden he can show what he can do. He just has to do it. Now, one thing that they did say is that the spacing was a whole lot better. And I will agree that the spacing was better this game, enabled him and Joel to operate together, right? And because the guys were way over in the corner, Joel was in the middle of the floor. Before, you had like a bunch of people in the same spot. We all know James likes to stand in the left and then go right. You know what I mean? So like do the back thing, right? The step back, right to his right. So it's kind of like, the spacing was good. He played well. It's just that I want to see if he can do it again come in game 5. You know what I mean? That's what I want to see. But the one thing that you want to talk about too is, like, let's keep it real, man. We look at it. We keep talking about balance. And I know people are going to get upset with me because they think the ball needs to move. And I do think it needs to move as well. But I feel like James getting 23 shots, Joel getting 26 shots the most. That's the best balance. That's the best thing they have. And then everybody else can be balanced. Because let's face it, you got 2 Hall of Famers on the team. 2 Hall of Famers on the team. 2 guys who proven that they're going to be Hall of Famers. They got to lead the team. They got to be the ones to get it. They scored 76 of the team's 116 points tonight. That's how you got to do it. Because I feel like if both of those dudes are cooking, the Sixers are tough to stop.
Are you jumping into our final segment? We got to jump in there now. We might as well jump in there now. You already brought it up. So, all right, they put up together 76 points in this one, and we know Embiid didn't play in game 1, but he had 45. Harden did. Tyrese Maxey had 26 in the first game. So he played well, and he had. So you're talking about the 45 and the 26 right there, which is the 71. That has been the formula in their 2 wins, and that's something that we see. That's something that we expect from the star players on the team. And right now, that does appear maybe for this series, because this is what we've seen in their wins, that this is how it's going to have to be in order for them to win 2 of these next 3 games, Keith. Because the other way, I mean, look, I thought they had a chance in game number 3. They led for a good point. They cut the lead to 2 late in the game when we thought that it was really getting away from them, and we weren't sure if they had it in them to do it, but they did come back. But right now, again, scoring 76 points in this game, putting up the amount of shots that you talked about. They made 27 shots of their 49, and clearly that's a pretty good percentage between the 2 guys. They definitely have to be the aggressor in terms of hunting down their shots. Now, the others, when they do get their opportunity to touch the basketball, they have to do something about it. But this seems to be the formula with the 2 stars.
Yeah, because like the other guys aren't consistent enough right now. They're not. Like, I mean, no offense. Like, I know James, sometimes he misses shots. I get it. But you know what Joel's going to do. Both of them, Joel gets to the foul line. James isn't getting a lot of those foul calls. But the other guy's just been a little bit too inconsistent. Like, yeah, when they hit a shot, that's great. But like right now, if you're going to go down, you got to go down with your 2 best guys. You know what I mean? Like you do. You got to go down with that person firing up the shot. Like you have to. And I feel like, I don't know, man, is a reason why they regarded or quote unquote known as the best tandem. Now, again, what happens is when they start baking and start kicking it and killing it, then that's opening up other things for other people. And then they're going to be able to eat too. But like, I'm with Doc Rivers when he said, like, this ain't a democracy. We got to go here. And again, that's maybe hard for people to hear and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think that ingredient worked early. Now, Tobias had 10 shots. Maxey had 17. Tucker had 5. Melton had 2. Niang had 6. And Reed had 2. Now, I would like to see Melton get a little bit more, right?
Yeah, he wasn't as into it.
He wasn't into it. Maybe Tobias can get 12, right?
But 15.
15. But then we're talking about how many shots you're going to get, though, right? I mean, then are you going to take? I mean, 15 will be good for them, but and they got to get more possessions. But the thing is, that's where they got to get more possessions. But I just feel like, especially on a night like the night when Harden was cooking, you know, that's what you got to do. And Joel, he's hard to guard. He has to get the shots.
Well, here's the question. Can James Harden do it again? We've seen him do it twice, and we weren't like those ESPN people who said, are you kidding me? He can't do this. And then they tried to couch and say he can't do it for a full series. Well, he basically won you 2 games, and that's something that a lot of people didn't expect from him. So if you can get another explosive type of Embiid game where he gives you the high 30s, close to 40, and you get the supporting cast, if Harden gives you 30, or if Maxey finally breaks through and gets you some of those points, I'm expecting at some point for Embiid to do that too, to do it. And to your point again of it may hurt some feelings. They just said they had that meeting, and when they looked in that meeting, people were saying some stuff. We saw PJ Tucker, Keith, in Joel Embiid's ear after he had that and won that offensive rebound. PJ Tucker did great offensive rebound, great putback, making the free throw, stepping there up to the free throw line, knocking down that free throw is not easy to do, but he did it. But right afterwards, he jumped right at Joel Embiid and got in his ear about him looking fatigued, him getting his shot blocked by Al Horford, saying that was unacceptable. You were in the press conference, and he talked about how that was unacceptable for Embiid to play that way down the stretch, even tired.
Yeah, but also, don't you also think that meeting was probably saying, look, James, you better not be passing up no shots. Same with Maxey too. But yeah, you're right.
No, I mean, listen, man. Look, fun game, entertaining, exciting, and certainly a thriller. Once again, that's going to go down in Philadelphia playoff history with that shot, especially if they're able to advance in this series to go much further. All right, final segment on the other side. We do need to talk about, Keith, some of the others and what they need to do to help the team out in trying to secure game number 5 now. If the points aren't going to be there, how do they approach things here going forward? We'll do that final segment right here, Locked On 76ers.
Yeah, right now, what we're going to talk about is we talk about
We're all good.
talk about Horizon, right? So look, what I want to talk to y'all about is real rap. Y'all need to follow my man D on 97.5 FM whenever the brother is on there. I'm telling you, you need
6
to
to 10
follow
tonight.
6 to 10 tonight. So that's the ad I'm giving y'all for now. You need to make sure you follow him, because if you don't, y'all really missing out. So that's the tip I'm giving y'all right now.
All right, welcome back, Locked On 76ers. That's Keith Pompey. I'm Devon Givens, and since he gave me a shout, got to return the favor. Enquirer.com. He writes like 15 stories a day, so make sure you go out there, jump on Enquirer.com. If you're out there and you want the paper, get the paper, and make sure you look up Keith Pompey, Enquirer.com, and Enquirer, of course, the Philadelphia Enquirer here locally in town. So make sure you do that. Check out all the stories. He'll be in Boston for the game on Tuesday. So make sure you follow my man Keith at Pompey on Sixers on Twitter, because they're also on his Twitter account once the stories are written and posted. All right, Keith, between the reserves, if you want to go with Maxey and Harden specifically getting 23 points combined, they combined to shoot 9 for 27 in this game. Maxey, since game one, even though he had 26 points, he shot 24 times, but we didn't mind it because no Embiid was out there, so he had to fire those things off. So between the two, Maxey, again, started off defensively very, very well. And Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker, I thought, did a really good job on Jason Tatum early, where he missed and he struggled. He was scoreless in the first half, and largely due to their defense, Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker. But they also, as you mentioned, those guys are going to give you close to 65 to 70 points between the two stars. You need one of them to come through in game 5 to help be that third player, because when you're looking at the balance, as you mentioned, of the Sixers, we talk about it often, but the balance of Boston, where you had 3 players over 20, Malcolm Brogdon had 19, and big shots from Al Horford. You need one of them to step up and find their way through it. Harris, 5 personal fouls in game 3. He was in foul trouble. No rhythm in 20-plus minutes. Okay. In this one, 3 for 10, 45 minutes, 7 rebounds. He did have 7 boards, 2 offensive, 1 steal, and had 4 personal fouls tonight, but really didn't affect the game. One of those 2, Keith, are going to really have to step through and shine in one of these games. Pardon me, game 5. I'm not jumping to game 6 yet. In game 5 to help those 2 stars out.
I want to say Harris. I mean, I do. I mean, I think, like you said, Tobias got 10 shots. He got to get 15. He probably has to get 15. Now, that might take some from other people. There was a point, like, Tobias is, like, such a smart, unselfish player that sometimes, people feel like he gets left out. But I also think there's times when he leaves himself out. Like, last night, there were several opportunities where I felt like he could have went hard to the rim, or he could have, when the ball swung to him, he could have fired up that shot. But what he did is he passed up what he felt like was a good for great shot, but the other person didn't shoot it. So then they moved on somewhere else. I mean, I just think that when in the Brooklyn series, and Tobias says he always plays aggressive, but I felt like in the Brooklyn series, there was times where he put the ball on the floor and just went hard to the rim.
Yep.
Right? You know what I mean? He just did that. He made his mind up. And I don't know if it's now he's not making up his mind. He's not doing this and that. But I don't see that all the time, especially not in game 4. I felt like there was a 3 that he passed up
late in the game.
Mm-hmm. So I gotta see that, because in order, like, everybody talks about for them to be successful, he has to be successful. But you can't complain about only getting 10 shots when there was opportunities and you didn't take it. That's
I think that we've seen him score against Boston. Therefore, I know he can do that against Boston. And we're talking, what, 15 points, 17, 19, whatever it might be. If he can stay out of foul trouble and stay engaged in the game and be aggressive, to your point, he does whatever the team needs. We know that. Either he or Maxey going to have to break through in game 5 to help out the other two to get the shots. Now, I know people, you might hear, well, they need the ball to do so. Well, what did Doc Rivers say after game 3, Keith, about Tyrese Maxey in particular? And he also said it about Tobias Harris. Go get it.
Mm-hmm.
Go get it. When you go get the ball and it comes to you and you feel like you have an advantage, do something with it. Don't even wait for the others. You know what? We can have that conversation later of what we didn't get in terms of a good shot. I saw some bad possessions from Embiid and Harden with the basketball. Hey, if we have to have the conversation at the end, we'll have the conversation at the end. But as long as we know that you had a specific thing in mind, which we all know you do, which is trying to score, then go do it. You're looking for the positive play, then go get the basketball and do that and have that hard conversation with your brother, your teammate, after the fact, after you win that game and go up 3-2, or just simply have a better possession. You talk about it in that timeout. One of those two are going to have to, again, I'm going to use the same word, break through in game 5 to help the Sixers win this game.
I agree big time.
All right, man. Well, we got to thank everybody for hanging out with us this morning or this afternoon, whatever time it is of the day that you're listening or watching us. We really appreciate the support as always. We knew this was going to be a tough series, and right now it's the best of 3 after the Sixers took game 4 at home with a thrilling 1-point victory and a big shot from James Harden in a big game where he really showed up and showed who he is as a guy who can score and uplift his team when need be. For our next episode, again, as I told you a little bit earlier, we thank you again, number one, for making us your first listen here on Locked On 76ers every day, and every day is tomorrow on the show. We preview game number 5, and maybe we'll have some things that we've figured out about how to get the other two guys going, maybe get them going early to set the tone for the Stars as well. The attention is going to go to those two. You got to beat your man off the dribble. Maybe that's something we'll talk about in our next episode. Keith, you told the people, good people, about where they could find us already. Myself, 6 to 10 tonight, 97.5 The Fanatic, at Devon G975 on Twitter. They can find you at Pompey on Sixers on Twitter, on social media there. And of course, the Inquirer.com. You can read that. Make sure you click on the Liberty Bell, subscribe to us as we have Locked On 76ers with you. Hopefully they can keep this thing going, and we can keep this going for you 5 days a week and make sure that we bring you the best content, the best conversation possible here on Locked On 76ers. Keith, thanks as always, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks to all of you folks out there for watching and listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow here on Locked On 76ers.
Peace.